Well, we were wrong. Ryan Garcia showed us. Were we wrong based on what he showed us, though? Before the fight, could you really pick Ryan to win the fight? Shocker result. Great performance by Ryan Garcia. Henry Garcia, your new nickname. I got a nickname, Paulie Malignaggi, the Magic Man. The champ here, Chris Algieri, with a punching collegiate, or he was at one time. Tim Bradley, I don't know what your nickname was, but we can tell us later. Henry Garcia, Henry Pause Garcia.
Ryan Garcia showed up, overweight, but he also showed out. Got the win. Congratulations, Ryan. Awesome performance. Didn't think you had it in you, but obviously you do.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Ryan Garcia. You're still beltless. However, great victory for you and your team. Congratulations. And yes, I was wrong. I'll admit I was wrong.
All right. Deep Waters starts now here on ProBox TV. Welcome to Deep Waters here on ProBox TV. I think this might be the most anticipated Deep Waters of the year because of what happened Saturday night with Ryan Garcia defeating Devin Haney. George DeMatteis with the champs, Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri, and ESPN analyst Tim Bradley. And well, after Ryan Garcia's surprising victory, he had some, choice words for us over here on ProBox TV. Here's what he had to say.
I want to say one more thing, okay? I'm so glad people that I'm going to mention, Paulie Malignaggi, Timothy Bradley, Chris Algieri, Steve Kim, maybe Mario Lopez, maybe, but they're all piece of shit, okay?
Oh, shit!
And I'm so glad they fucking lost, and Ryan proved them wrong.
Yeah, Timothy Bradley, suck my dick.
That's right.
Well, the words of Ryan Garcia and his father, Henry Garcia, and has all of us cracking up laughing here. Like the Chappelle Show skit.
Did you see the guy who was sitting in the middle when Ryan said that and got up? He was like,
What is
who's that guy who was sitting in the middle between
I have
Henry
no
and
idea.
Ryan?
But he was certainly surprised as well. Oh, my goodness. Welcome to Deep Waters. Like I said, this is the most anticipated Deep Waters of the year so far. As I mentioned, the champs, Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri, and ESPN analyst Tim Bradley. And we are now joined also by CEO of ProBox TV, Garry Jonas, who has some comments. Garry, first of all, thank you very much for joining us here on ProBox TV. What was your response, and do you stand by your commentators when it comes to Ryan Garcia's post-fight comments?
I hope they weren't offended. That's my response. They sounded offended. We don't mean to offend ProBox TV. We hope that fighters and their families, their fans, we hope that they understand what we're doing, and our job is to give our opinion and professional opinion about what we expect to happen in that fight. Ryan was a large underdog by anybody's standards who wasn't partial to either Ryan or Haney. He was a large underdog. I want to congratulate Ryan for pulling off a tremendous upset, right? And accept that it's our job. It's our job to give our honest opinion, not to have any emotions in it. I think the Garcias may find it interesting to find out who we wanted to win that fight, but who we want to win that fight is irrelevant. That would be malpractice for us to talk about who we want to win. As far as my guys making those predictions, as long as they're coming from a professional place. I don't want their emotions. I don't want who they like or who they don't like. For a long time, a lot of the fans watching us thought that Paulie was being unfair or biased towards Haney, but Paulie picked Haney. You know, so I want everyone to understand out there, our guys are professionals. They're not going to comment based on their feelings. They're going to keep it professional. So yeah, 100% I stand by them. It's an opinion show, and it's for them to give their expertise, and they can't compromise that. So as long as they're honest and true to that, I'll always stand behind them.
Garry, what do you make of Tim Bradley's resignation after the Ryan Garcia victory?
You know, I kind of told Tim afterwards, he has a contract, so he's probably not really, he has an obligation to us. He can't really resign or retire. So jokingly, Tim and I spoke, and he tendered his resignation after the live show on Saturday night, and I called him back on Sunday, and I said, now you're rehired. So for all those out there who were adamant calling for his resignation, he gave it. He kept his word, but I rehired him because we love him and we think Tim's great, and he's a valued member of ProBox TV, and we wouldn't be as good as we are without him. So I made the executive decision and we brought him back.
Talking with CEO of ProBox TV, Garry Jonas. And Garry, what was your take on the fight between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney?
Look, you know, the reason we fight these fights, right? Somebody could be a major favorite like Haney was, but boxing is special because anything can happen. And Ryan definitely has stopping power. Kid punches like a mule for his size. So you knew that Haney was going to win this fight, but for what if Ryan caught him, right? And Ryan did. Credit to Ryan for that. He caught him, and I think he concussed him in the first round. It's my humble opinion. He concussed him because from that point on, Haney looked like he wasn't as sharp as he normally is defensively. So I think he landed that shot, which is always possible when in boxing. That's why it makes the sport so interesting, because the lesser fighter can land the big shot and it changes everything. And we saw a perfect example on Saturday night of just that. I want to also, you know, let Haney know, I mean, he deserves credit for coming to fight. He was actually the aggressor, and he had Ryan backing up and moving around the ring. And for Haney to say, hey, I'm not gonna do what Shakur did. I'm gonna come out and entertain, I'm gonna be aggressive. He deserves a lot of credit, because when he does that, he takes the risk of exactly what happened, but it makes for so much entertainment. So hats off to Haney for bringing it and taking the risk. And for that, I hope Ryan gives him the rematch. Haney deserves it. It'll be a lot of fun, and it was a great night for boxing. And let's see it again.
Yeah, it certainly would be entertaining to see Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney go at it again. All right, Garry, what's your response to Ryan Garcia talking about fellatio? We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, none of my guys are going to take them up on that invitation, obviously. And but let's face it. So these guys are colorful, they're entertaining, and that comes with it. We don't take it any more personal than they should take our predictions that we didn't think they were going to win that fight.
All right, before we continue on with ProBox TV CEO Garry Jonas, Tim, I want to get your thoughts on all the trash talking and everything that was said post-fight with Ryan Garcia, and then his father, Henry Garcia, having some words as well.
Hey, thank you for saying my name. I really appreciate it, man. You got over 10 million followers or something or such. I really appreciate it, man. Anytime you mention my name, that means I'm doing something right. That means that I'm in your head, you know, at the end of the day. But I'm happy, Ryan Garcia, that I was able to motivate you with my words, the entire panel. You know, fighters, we need motivation, and we get motivation from outside. We can get it from inside, of course, but from outside, people that don't believe in you. And it seemed to me that Ryan came in the ring with a chip on his shoulder. I think the most impressive thing that I seen, it wasn't a left hook. It was actually Ryan's determination is what impressed me during this fight. Because when Haney caught him and he rocked him a little bit, you saw a change in his eyes. He was just like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here all night. I'm going to give you hell. I'm going to catch you and I'm going to knock you out. But that was impressive. But I don't worry about what these guys are saying, man. I'm a complete professional. I stand by what I say. Period. And it's all from my experience. It's all from my knowledge of the game. When I talk about you for what you're doing outside the ring, that's fair game, because everybody else was talking about you as well and the things that you were doing, because you're posting all of the stuff that you're doing. So, you know, you can't take offense to me saying something about it or have an opinion about it and not like it. You know, that's your opinion about me. That's how you guys feel. I'm accepting it. It's okay. You can say whatever you want because it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt me at all. So I'm accepting what you're saying. You got to accept what I say at the same time. But thank you for mentioning my name. I really appreciate it.
All right, Paulie and Chris, he mentioned you guys named two with some choice words. Paulie, what's your response to Ryan Garcia's post-fight comments?
I'm not as professional as Tim Bradley. I don't really have that. I don't really have that in me. But I will. But I'll say. I will say this. I will say this. It's business. It's never personal, and you got to really understand this business is about opinions, and you got to understand that everything you show us before the fight is considered in our professional analysis. And basically, what you're showing us is you're a hot mess. You're going off the tracks at a crazy rate of speed. You're not focused. You're all over the place. You quit a year ago against Gervonta Davis. So there's really not a lot to work with as far as giving you the benefit of the doubt. Haney's coming off a career best performance against Regis Prograis. You put all of this into the mix, and it's very hard to give a professional opinion where anything else but a Devin Haney victory is logical. Now, there's fanboys that picked Ryan Garcia. Ryan's very popular, but we aren't really fanboys here. We're going to give you a professional analysis. Anybody saying, oh, you didn't know anything, how did you not know Ryan Garcia was going to win the fight? Bro, you don't know nothing about boxing if you were picking Ryan Garcia before this fight. That's what makes it such a shocker. That's what makes it such an amazing night, because the fight was amazing. Haney also showed a lot of heart in getting up off the canvas and trying to make a fight of it, even if he came up short. This turned out to be a really great fight for boxing in general, the excitement value of the fight. But ultimately, man, I mean, I know I said Henry Garcia, because I saw another video where Henry Garcia wanted fellatio from me. Henry, you know, we got Tim Desert Storm Bradley, we got the Punching Collegiate Chris Algieri, we got Paulie the Magic Man Malignaggi, we got Henry Paws Garcia, and we got King Ryan Garcia, but I don't know, man.
That wasn't royal behavior there.
No, Ryan Paws Garcia from now on is probably more logical at this point. You got it. I mean, your lawyer who was sitting in between everybody was like, you forgot to say pause. You know, he's looking at you like, yo, you see when you got up after you said that, bro? Your lawyer's like, yo, that's your attorney giving you professional advice. You just walked off. You know what I mean? That's not how it's supposed to be, homie. Come on, bro. Congratulations. Great win, though, Ryan Garcia. Honestly, it was really, really an exciting fight. Shocker fights are always exciting fights. Both guys really put on, regardless of the result.
All right, Chris, what's your take on the post-fight comments?
Listen, it's funny. We're doing the live post show, and I'm getting text messages like, oh, they're calling you out. And then I watch a video. Timothy Bradley, Paulie Malignaggi, Timothy Bradley, Chris Algieri, Mario Lopez. I'm like, that's a good group of people to be involved with. That's the who's who of FUs. If you're ever gonna have one. So and again, we don't guys, we're professionals. I don't take this personally at all.
But it's also, you know, business, not pleasure. That's why we don't really get offended from it either. I get it, bro. As a fighter, especially a fighter in his 20s, you're supposed to get mad at us criticizing you, bro. It's supposed to motivate you. I don't mind that. I've been there, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I think all of us have been there. That he's supposed to react like that. I don't mind it. The emotion gets you riled up and gets you motivated. You see, Tim mentioned when Ryan Garcia got hit with a hook. You see what he did? He went, come on, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, you saw the fire and the flare in Ryan Garcia and the heart in Devin Haney in the fight. Bro, I mean, I don't regret the criticism I gave you, bro. It obviously motivated you. I understand you're getting mad. It's business, not pleasure. I mean, whoa, it's business. whoa, pause. It's business. See, you guys got...
Not personal.
It's business, not personal.
Yeah, there you go.
It's business, not personal, but hopefully it's business, not personal for you guys, too.
Listen, also, guys, got to understand, like, we're media. It doesn't matter who wins. We're going to cover both. We're going to cover everything.
Still get paid.
We still get paid.
And you get paid. You got paid a lot more than us.
I still sleep in my big bed. It doesn't matter. We don't care. But also, to your point, Champ, listen, just like social media, what you put out to the public is contrived, and people handpick what they're going to show you. Ryan showed us what is going on. And listen, I don't think he's this big mastermind who's like, oh, I tricked everybody. I'm really locked in. No, I think he's just wildly talented, and he made the fight happen. He made it work. But again, what we see is what he's allowed us into, which in his life is he shows us everything.
Yeah.
And staying out all night the week of a fight and drinking on fight week doesn't lead you to think that the guy's gonna win a fight. Again, he's wildly talented. He pulled it out. He fought an excellent fight, an excellent performance. I was wrong in my prediction, but listen, I've never been so happy to be wrong. The fight was awesome. I was in that room. I was on this edge of my seat. That was a barn burner.
And
all the way
that's
through.
not a knock on Devin Haney. That's
No.
I'm
want to give my flowers to Devin Haney because he showed real heart and guts to get through that, make it through that fight. And listen, people are going to complain about his holding at times. Listen, he's surviving. What else are you going to do?
Yeah, that's on Harvey Duck.
And clinching is part of boxing. Excessive clinching is when you start talking about illegal stuff. But listen, Devin Haney's got a heart of a champion, man. He is very, very tough. You saw the damage he was taking. His face was very damaged after. He got dropped 3, maybe 4 times, depending if you want to count any of those that were not called. But listen, heart of a champion. It takes 2 warriors to make a good fight. And that was a good fight.
All right, so we got to finish it off here with Garry. Garry, what are your final thoughts there and final message to Ryan Garcia?
Well, Ryan, if you're down in Miami, come on over, hang out on the show. Let's have some fun. We want to celebrate with you. I want to congratulate you in person and have you come on the show and talk about the fight with us. I think it'd be great to have you. So we're extending our invitation. Come on down.
All right, Tim, I'll give you the final word before we go to break here about all this madness.
I mean, we're sitting here, we're talking about, the things that he said, and trust me, I'm a professional. Honestly, I don't appreciate it. However, it is what it is. You can say whatever you want to say, but you cannot be using God's name and then a second later say you can suck my dick. And this doesn't go well with me. I'm sorry, people, at the end of the day, but I just don't like that, man. And I'm not gonna. And that doesn't mean that I gotta appreciate that. Or feel like I need to kiss this young guy's behind at the same damn time. So that's my last words, man.
All right, we'll take a quick break here and we'll get deeper into this fight. We'll talk about the stuff that happened in the ring between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney here on Deep Waters on ProBox TV, your boxing channel.
Wednesday Night Fights. On the next Wednesday Night Fight, April 24th, Ramon Cardenas returns to defend his WBA regional title against the hard-hitting Eduardo Ramirez. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at ProBoxTV.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
It's going to be a great night of fights here on ProBox TV. That Cardenas Ramirez main event is going to be spectacular, and that Valle Sosa co-main event is going to be pretty good too. 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Ciudad de Mexico, 5 Pacific here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. All right, everybody, let's take a Zen moment here to relax and calm down after the madness earlier on the program, and let's talk about this fight and the result and its place in history. Now, the great Jim Lampley was ringside, called the fight in which Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson, and he said that this Garcia-Haney result and Garcia's victory was more surprising than that one, than the Douglas-Tyson fight. Tim, what do you make of this fight, this Garcia victory is all-time upset? Where does it rank in terms of all-time upsets?
Recency bias. I don't know what he's talking about. He crazy. Tyson was huge back then, losing to Buster Douglas. I don't think that ranks around. I don't think this ranks with that at all. However, great job by Team Garcia. I'm giving him his credit. Hey, good job. You won the fight. Minus the circumstances that I see that was around the fight. You fooled us all. You fooled us all, including myself. It's unfortunately that, I picked Haney to win the fight, but at the same time, there was a lot of reasons why I picked Devin Haney. And I mean, we'll discuss that a little bit later on the show, but however, I wouldn't put this upset around the rims of a Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas. No, this was definitely an upset, but it's nowhere near that rim or that level.
Yeah, Paulie, what does this fight rank in terms of all-time upsets?
Certainly, it's an upset. I mean, I think a lot of us were fooled. A lot of us were surprised, myself included. I think most of boxing was surprised, and I think the odds makers had it, the way it was pretty much viewed. Ryan was a plus 800 underdog, so it's not like we were out of line for not thinking he was going to win the fight. The thing is, to call it the level of upset of Mike Tyson-esque against Buster Douglas, that's Jim Lampley just trying to make a headline, I think. And I think Jim Lampley is one of the best blow-by-blow guys, if not the best blow-by-blow guy boxing's ever had. But I think it's like him trying to give you a weird headline so he can get his name back in the mix a little bit. Definitely not. I mean, Devin Haney compared to a prime Mike Tyson, no. And that's another thing that we'll get later on in the mix. Devin Haney turned out to be exactly what I told you guys he is, which I never said he was a bad fighter. And I think I got a lot of criticism for saying Haney was a bad fighter when I never said he was a bad fighter. It was just me telling you he's not a pound-for-pound level fighter. There's not enough dimensions to him. And I think we finally saw that in a fight where he was finally up against like somebody, I guess, who was a mirror image of himself in a way, where it's somebody around his age, same physical prime in his life, and a guy who he was supposed to be better than, but was strong. And I'll get into that, a little bit more of that later. With Garcia, yeah, man, he fooled us all. Like the champ Tim said, he fooled us all. And I think if you were picking Garcia before the fight, based on what Garcia showed you, which was drinking the beer, not making the weight, not showing us really any training footage that really made him look good at all. He didn't really look good at any of the training footage. The quotables that he was giving where he was losing his mind, doing random haywire stuff, it's all designed to make us not pick him, really. So if you were picking Ryan Garcia to win the fight before the fight, I guess what's the politically correct word I can use here? You weren't that smart, bro. Like, that's the only politically correct word. But you know the word I really want to use. All right, bro?
You went to the zoo often.
Yeah. You know, and then that's not a knock on Ryan. I mean, obviously, it's a great performance by Ryan, but let's cool it down with we should have known better. How are we going to know better? We're analysts. We're not psychics. We go by the footage we see. If going by the footage you see, if you were picking Haney before the fight, you don't know diddly about boxing. If you were picking Ryan before the fight, if you were picking Ryan before the fight, you don't know diddly about boxing. Okay. Now the shock is a almost an incredible shock, but Ryan kind of lived up to some of the hype. But you didn't make weight, bro, and we're boxers here. The last 2-3 pounds are the most difficult pounds to get off, and those are the toughest to recover from. So we'll give you credit, but at the same time, we keep it real here at ProBox.
All right, Chris, where do you rank this as an all-time upset there?
Oh, I agree with my esteemed colleagues. There's no comparison comparing to Mike. Mike Tyson was unbeatable. He was larger than life. Very, very different apps. And when we spoke about Ryan's chances, he is a puncher, and punchers are real. And Devin, we've seen get shooken up in fights before when he got hit by guys who are much smaller and a much less of a puncher than Ryan is. So yeah, trying to compare that to an all-time upset. I mean, it's definitely a big one. It was definitely exciting. I was in the arena that night. I was sitting 2 seats away from Jim Lampley when we saw the fight. It was definitely a massive upset, and it was very surprising. But man, this is boxing. This is why we do these fights. And in terms of like what you were saying, Champ, absolutely. You guys keep saying like Ryan fooled us. I don't know how much he fooled us, or if that. Listen, he does have some issues, but he's so hyper talented. He hits so hard. He's so fast that he can still figure it out. He can be drinking and going out on fight week, but he's talented enough to still find a way to win. I think it's more a testament to how physically gifted he is. And I think when I first described this fight, I said it was the most talented guy. It was the most disciplined guy versus least disciplined guy, which Ryan showed us to be true. Drinking during camp, going out all night, not making weight. Those are all undisciplined actions. But then I also said that he's the most talented of the group versus the guy who was the least physically talented in Devin Haney. Devin Haney isn't as fast, isn't as strong as the rest of those guys. He's not as explosive or as powerful. Yes, he's very quick. Yes, he's very smart. Yes, he boxes well. But in terms of physical gifts, Ryan is the most physically talented guy. And he showed that again. He didn't have to be disciplined to win the fight because he's that talented. And that's what it is. And, for that moment, I got to try this new
cereal.
We've been snacking on it, Ryan.
This new thing called Crow. Apparently, there's a new and improved formula, so we're gonna be eating some Crow today on today's show. Not taking anything away from what we said before. Right. Again, like Ryan, like the champ said, from everything that was being shown to us. Ryan was going to win. Ryan was not going to win the fight. But hey, bud, you won. Congratulations. We're eating some Crow.
Yeah, and they're eating it with coconut milk because cow milk is not good for you. All right, quick break here on Deep Waters, and we'll talk more about what happened in the ring and get the analysis of these 3 great champions here on Deep Waters.
Wednesday Night Fights. On the next Wednesday Night Fight, April 24th, Ramon Cardenas returns to defend his WBA regional title against the hard-hitting Eduardo Ramirez. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at ProBoxTV.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
Yeah, this Wednesday, April 24th, good fighters and great fights. Wednesday night fights. Jimmy Smith with Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi ringside at the ProBox TV Event Center in Plant City. It's going to be a good one with Cardenas Ramirez as the main event. And y'all still have some crow left over? I'm kind of hungry. I'll throw some milk in.
We got some for you, too.
You got
what you were picking.
Okay, yeah. All right, I'll eat some of that crow with y'all. I'm in on the team. Let's talk about what happened in the ring here. And, Tim, I want to start with you because Ryan Garcia, we all know that his big weapon is the left hook. But Devin Haney just couldn't stop that left hook. He had problems dealing with it. What was the issue with Haney's defense, and how come he didn't improve on that as the fight wore on?
You know, let me go back to I think it was a Regis Prograis, and I actually picked Regis to beat Devin Haney, and it was for the actual reasons that we saw against Garcia. All right. There was some fundamental flaws that I saw in Haney's game. You know, he's a talented fighter, truly talented fighter, a technician, a tactician. You know, he does things the right way and sometimes inside the ring, but there's these telltale signs that I see with his hand placement, I saw with his footwork, I saw, and I thought that a guy like Regis Prograis with that punching power, walk through, find him, land a big shot, hurt him, because I knew his chin was somewhat suspect. Ryan Garcia, on the other hand, all right, let's go to the fight now. That left hook, they knew that left hook was dangerous. And the fact that he couldn't block that shot or get away from that shot, that just tells me either two things. Either he wasn't prepared for it, or, you know, or he just completely forgot about it. You know, he was dialed in the fight. You got to understand, when a fighter gets hurt, especially early in the fight, it's embarrassing for him. You know, it feels like you're down maybe 4 or 5 rounds when you get hurt like that. He got hurt in the first few seconds of the fight. Boom, he gets hurt. Then he finally gets dropped in the 6th round. Now his complete, you know, psychology changes. Now he thinks he got to be aggressive and come forward, and he's taking more chances, and he's forgetting about that left hook because he's trying to get that get back. And I think that's where Haney fell, you know, coming forward. If Haney, to me, if he would have boxed on his outside like he was doing in those rounds where he was dominating, I would say, more so than Haney. I mean, more so than Garcia was. Like, I think it was 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and then the 5th. He won those rounds, hand down, by just changing levels, shooting the right hand over the top, confusing, throwing feints, like he was doing brilliantly. But as soon as he got hit and he went down, the fight went out the window, game plan went out the window, and he started becoming that hunter. And, you know, believe it or not, Garcia set him up for those left hooks. He did a beautiful job of just using footwork, setting traps, luring them in, you know, and, you know, he hurt him, and he got the victory at the end of the day.
Chris, what do you make of Devin Haney's defense and his inability to slow down that left hook?
Well, I think early on, Tim, to your point, some of those fundamental deficiencies that Haney has, I had mentioned this on the post-fight show, that bow and arrow position with his jab. He tends to, the hand position of his right hand comes really far back as he's loading up for the right hand as he jabs. And normally he's tall enough and long enough to do that to guys where it positions them and puts them on the outside of that jab, his long, fast jab. Ryan's too big for that. Ryan was able to literally, he didn't have to slip inside and hook like Trinidad did against Vargas. He literally just hooked with the jab and was able to catch him, even though the jab was touching him. Ryan got hit with the jab, and they traded a jab and a left hook. That's how much bigger Ryan's reach and size is. When you're a taller guy, even if your reach is not that much different, if you have that height, the punch comes from a different angle, and Ryan has that long power with that left hook, and he was able to hit him. Now, I thought that might have changed the way Devin was going to be punching, and now he's worried to throw his jab because this guy can get around it. But he did, like you said, Tim. He jabbed really well, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then when he got hurt again, it went out the window. From then on, he was just going forward, squaring up, chasing the puncher. 2 things you don't do is you don't hook with a hooker. It's exactly what Devin did, and he's doing it throughout. You do not chase a puncher. So he's chasing a puncher and trying to hook with him. It was just such a bad game plan. So poorly executed from Team Haney in terms of how to fight a guy like Ryan Garcia. And listen, there were times that Ryan looked totally gassed. He did not look like he was in a condition for 3 minutes times 12 at all. He took his time. He rested. He almost felt like an old fighter. He picked his spots, but when he let his hands go, brilliantly fast and very, very powerful. It was like he was hitting a heavy bag. He was walking around, and he was able to catch Haney almost any time he opened up. He just did it so few and far between. It allowed Haney to get back into the fight, get his legs back, find certain things going on. But again, the chasing and then the trying to hook with the hooker. They showed Haney in the back warming up, and he's doing leaping left hooks. Right away, I was like, why would you do that? I've never seen Devin Haney throw a leaping left hook. And they were practicing that over and over again in the back. And he actually hurt Ryan with it at one point. But he kept going with it all night long. You got a guy who you literally said is a one-trick pony. And that trick is damn good. Why are you going to give him any opportunities to land it, which is walking him down and throwing leaping left hooks? It was very strange for me to watch the game plan of Devin Haney. Champ, I don't know if I'm sure you got a lot to say about this, but
go ahead, Paulie. What were you going to say about the defense and how it connects to maybe how Bill Haney managed that fight?
Well, I'll tell you what. I got a lot of heat when I first said a while ago, Devin Haney's basically me with money behind him, and everybody wanted to be, no, he's like Mayweather. You couldn't walk in Devin Haney's shoes, all this other stuff. What I meant was by Devin Haney being me with money behind him is he's able to afford these old dinosaur former champions because they cost money to get them as opponents. He's able to afford them. He's able to afford not be able to sign with a promoter and stay free so he can maneuver around better. Me with more money, same athleticism, same kind of jab first style, all this other stuff. I think what we saw Saturday was the first time Devin actually fought somebody who was a mirror image of himself in terms of physical prime and also age-wise. I had to fight those kind of guys earlier in my career because, you know what, they didn't have the kind of money behind me that Devin Haney has. Again, you come from a bit of a privileged background. Now, I'm not trying to mess with Devin or kick a dead horse here because Devin's far from a dead horse. And Devin, when I made those comparisons, I still rated Devin as a solid, good fighter. I never said he was a bad fighter. But people wanted to make like he was the next Mayweather, and that's where I had an issue with it. And then I got called a hater for saying he's not the next Mayweather. I can see he's not the next Mayweather because he fights out of basically the same look all the time. He's got pretty much one look. Mayweather fought out of different looks constantly and could punch off of all those looks. Devin doesn't do that. So I can see that from very early on. Even when he was winning, he doesn't do that. Also, his chin is suspect from the Linares fight, who's a former featherweight. So you had to keep that in mind. And of course, he's not a puncher. So anytime you fight a real firepower kind of fight, which is a guy who's your age with firepower, now you got to be very, very clever. This is where you really show who you really are. Mayweather against Mosley got hurt very early. After that, what happened? Mosley didn't win a second of the rest of the fight. Haney got hurt the other night. All over the place after that. He abandoned his own jab after a few rounds. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why? Because the guy's hooking off your jab? So feint with the jab. Show different levels with the jab. Show different feints off the jab. That fight should never have picked up the pace at any given point. Haney should have deadened that fight with his jab and won a quiet fight, a la Shakur Stevenson, who he was criticizing. That's what you got to do when you got a boxer like Haney, who's not a big puncher, against a power puncher like Ryan Garcia. You need to make the fight less exciting and box intelligently and put those rounds in the bag because, again, Ryan didn't look like that, like Chris, the champ, said. Ryan didn't look like he could go 12 rounds consistently. So put him to sleep, lull him to sleep with that jab or off-rhythm athleticism that you're supposed to have. It's easy when you do it against old men, right? It's easy, right? Yeah. The odds don't lie, right? The odds don't lie. Plus 800 was Ryan Garcia the other night. The odds don't lie. So it's not like we can be criticized for picking Devin Haney going into the fight. But it doesn't mean Devin Haney was ever a pound-for-pound fighter. I told you, he's me with money behind him. He'll never be on the pound-for-pound list again because, again, when you got to fight this kind of firepower, you're always going to be at a disadvantage if you're not clever enough. Devin Haney's very athletic. He's a good fighter. He might even become a world champion again. I don't doubt it. But there's a lot to work on there, and you're working with less talent, like Chris Algieri said, because you don't have the natural firepower and physicality of these other guys. You got to be clever. And Devin Haney showed the other night he's not that clever, even if he's athletic.
All right, we'll keep this discussion going of Garcia Haney here on Deep Waters on ProBox TV. Welcome back to Deep Waters. George D. Metellus alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi, and ESPN analyst Tim Bradley. All right, Tim, how much what's the future for Ryan Garcia, and how much is the weight issue going to factor into his future?
I mean, with this victory, I mean, the future's bright for him. He's on cloud, 1,000 right now. Everybody's talking about Ryan Garcia in this performance. However, I mean, he needs to learn how to make weight. At the end of the day, he needs to learn how to honor the contract and be a complete professional, because I'm telling y'all right now, y'all can say it didn't matter. It does matter. Those 3 pounds matter, because if the 3 pounds didn't matter, why didn't he make the weight? It's because he was afraid of what those 3 pounds was going to take out of him going into this fight. That's the reason why. That's the reason he was willing to give up the $1.5 million to Haney, knowing that he wasn't going to make the weight. And, you know, it'd be funny if Haney, it would have been funny if Haney didn't take the fight. It would have been funny. But guess what? Everybody would have been talking about Haney. Why didn't you take the fight? You're scared of Ryan Garcia. It's only 3 pounds, yada, yada, yada. You know what? Those 3 pounds take so much out of you. And I feel that if the fight was at 140, both these guys at 140, if Ryan would have fought the fight at 140, then it could have been a different result. And the reason why I'm saying that is because people, those last 3 pounds is like, it takes your soul. It drains you. Ryan himself said, why would I even try to make 140? Why? Because I would just kill myself to make it. Absolutely. You signed the contract to fight at 140. You knew all along you weren't going to make the weight. So then you step into the ring. You have an advantage over somebody that actually made the weight. And it was a tough weigh-in for Devin Haney. That came back and bit him in the behind. But however, this victory right here, I'll give you credit for it, but with an asterisk next to it. Because I'm telling you right now, Ryan went in the ring with an advantage, people. It's all about this. If you didn't want to make that weight, the reason why you didn't is because you didn't want to weaken your resolve, Ryan. You know that. And you knew that Haney was going to come in a little bit weaker than he was, or a little bit weaker than in the past, because he always struggles to make this 135 or 140 pounds. So now you have an advantage going to this fight. Every time you touched him, you was wobbling him. You were at full strength all the way through the fight. Haney was weakened by this, man, at the end of the day. And again, an asterisk next to this victory. Congratulations, Ryan Garcia. But I'm telling you right now, guys, my man cheated. He set this up.
Tim, so many people this weekend, and the last couple of days, asked me, yeah, but it's only 3 pounds. Man, I do not want to hear that.
Context.
I don't want to hear that. It's only 3 pounds. It's the last 3 pounds. That's the difference. The kid's coming down from high 50s, 160, 160 plus. Who really knows? It's those last 3 pounds. And listen, and you made a point, Tim. You said he was never going to. He was never planning on making weight. Yeah, it looked like that. He's a much bigger human being. When I was there, I'm looking at the ring. They got in the ring. I'm like, wow, Ryan's humongous. And then
that's disrespectful, bro.
And then comparing
why not sign the fight at 143 instead of 140?
It's a non-title fight.
Because it's a non-title fight. I don't.
He didn't win the title to begin with.
Yeah, they signed for at the beginning the belt was on the line, and then when he missed
right, it was supposed to be a title fight, but obviously Ryan doesn't care about titles. He said that. He's showing that in terms of the way that he's acting. He was going in there to win that fight no matter what, and if he had an advantage by not getting all the way down to 140, he took it. And it's unfortunate because not only is Ryan the bigger guy, Ryan's a very big puncher. Devin Haney took a tremendous amount of punishment in these 12 rounds. He got dropped 3 times. Some people argue 4 or 5. His face was all lumped up. He looked swelling all over his face. He took a lot of punishment. These types of fights take a lot out of you, especially when you know that a guy who's bigger than you, a guy who didn't make the weight, who didn't struggle to get down to the way that you did. And I told you guys, I saw Devin Haney walking up to the ceremonial scale, which is 4 hours after the real weigh-in. He looked very drawn. Even on fight night, you could see his eyes were still sucked in a little bit. I'm not sure how his rehydration went. Because listen, it's not just how good or bad your weight cut goes. It's how good or bad your rehydration goes. That's really important. I don't know if Devin Haney was able to actually rehydrate back to full strength. He did look very fragile all night. All those punches, yeah, Ryan hits hard, sure. But I watched back a lot of those knockdowns. He wasn't getting hit all that hard all the time. Some of those were just
Chris, I got a
crazy
question
shots.
for you, Chris.
Yep.
I got a question for you, Chris. Let's say if Haney had those 3 pounds, do you think he would have been able to take those shots a little bit better? If he had the same 3 pounds,
I don't know, Tim, because he got hurt by Linares, man. Linares was a featherweight. Haney's chin is always questionable.
So, Tim,
and even Lomachenko kind of buzzed him a little bit.
We'll never have the answer to that, obviously. But definitely it seems that Haney was compromised.
And here's my issue, too. Haney's technically was making mistakes, too. It's not just losing the jab. He fights squared up. Bro, when you fight at that level, at the highest level, not the old former world champions, which is still a good level and good wins for Haney, but a real solid level on your level. Bro, when you're fighting a puncher, you can't make any mistakes, bro. And now you got to know that you got to fight at an angle where your shoulder bladed because you're not the puncher, so you're defensively more responsible. He's fighting squared up against this puncher, so he would have got hit with those hooks whether they were fighting at 143 or not. He would have got hit with clean hooks. This kid is boxing squared up against a puncher at this level. It goes to show you that he's never really been at this kind of danger before because he didn't know what to do. From round 1, he took it for granted. That kind of punching power.
But rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, he actually boxed really well.
But then when he got hurt again, he got back away from it again.
At his own admission, he goes, I fell asleep on him. exactly your point when you said, you can't fall asleep on a puncher. He admitted he did, and he lost that train of
momentum.
thought.
Of course, you lose the momentum, but here's the thing.
The train of thought until we got hit.
But here's another thing, though. The weigh-ins are earlier, bro. So we talk about recovering from weigh-ins as well. This is his second fight at 140. Yes, he doesn't make 140 easier, but the weigh-ins are 9 in the morning. The ceremonial weigh-in is later, 4 hours later at 1. 4 hours. Okay, so you're getting way more time than we did when we were fighting in our careers, where the weigh-ins were either midday or later in the day before. Okay, so that whole part of it, rehydration, even for Haney, I get it. I agree with Ryan should have had to lose the last 2-3 pounds. The context of that is you're already dehydrated when you have to lose the last 2-3 pounds, and you have to dehydrate more. That's why it weakens you, and when you struggle. So Haney had to do that. But granted, you still have a lot of time to recover, and he was still making fundamental mistakes from round 1. That hook he got hit with in round 1, he was perfectly square. What are you doing lining up square against a guy with a puncher like that in round 1? Because when you're bladed, you can pull with your shoulder, but when you're square, you're pulling square. You're gonna hit with a hook.
Listen, I don't know. Again,
Real quick, Chris,
I don't know if it makes a difference, but in terms of whether they make the weight and if this fight changes at all. But I will say this: I know you're going a lot of technical flaws. We talk a lot of technical. Listen, there's ego involved too. Ryan wanted to show something. It seemed like Ryan. I'm sorry. Devin. It seemed like Devin wanted to show something. He wanted to hook with the hooker. He wanted to stop the puncher. He gave up what he's good at because I believe there was some ego involved.
Tim, let me ask you this real quick here. We got to move on to this real quickly here. Ryan Garcia, what's next for him? Who does he fight next, and then at what weight?
He's going to fight at 147. He has to fight at 147. I don't care who he's going to fight next, to be honest with you. It doesn't matter. The one thing that I do like about Ryan Garcia is that he's about that action. He does like to compete, and he likes to fight the best guys out there. He's fought Tank. Now he's fought Ryan. He's fought Haney. And, I'm wondering if he'll go up there and face a Boots Ennis, a Crawford. I think he said something about Crawford. I wouldn't mind seeing him do that. This kid, he wants to take on the biggest challenges. I respect that.
Tim, to that point as well, yeah, I mean, the kid's got money from outside of boxing. He doesn't need this. That's why taking the bet didn't matter to him. He's like, I make money out of the ring. I don't fight for money. He fights because he wants to fight.
So who should he fight next, and at what weight?
Definitely 47. He said he's not going back down to 140. Listen, obviously that failed miserably trying to make 40 this time. So definitely 47. He's certainly big enough. He looked like a junior middleweight in the ring the other night. And there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of big fights for him. And I agree with Tim. I don't think he would avoid the biggest name matchups possible, the Crawfords, the Boots. I would see him going right for Boots. I wouldn't be surprised.
That would be a good fight.
And I'll tell you what, at 47 as well for me, Ryan, I don't want to see him fight Pitbull, who he's been mentioning. Pitbull's a former 130-pounder. 147 is kind of open pastures. I don't want to see him fight Ennis right away, though. He's got star power. Let him enjoy the star power. Fight some other welterweights, and then let it lead into the Ennis fight, or even a Conor Benn fight. Let it lead into it. Also for Devin Haney, I'm going to tell you, I know I got a lot of hate for criticizing you in the past. I was 25 years old when I fought Miguel Cotto. I took a bad beating. I came back and won 2 world titles. You will be back, and you can be back. And if you believe in yourself, you will be back. I don't believe Haney can be on the pound-for-pound list. That's not a criticism or hating. I believe Haney can still be champion and still be a great fighter. Okay, there's a difference where I never said, Haney, you're either here or you're here. Haney can still be a high-level fighter for a while, and I believe he can come back. But he's got to believe in himself after that the beating he took.
All right, on that note, that does it for Deep Waters. Thank you for watching here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel.